Massive mobilizations are taking place throughout Argentina to commemorate the Day of Remembrance for Truth and Justice 49 years after the 1976 civil military coup. In Saudi Arabia, Russia-US talks on a possible Ukrainian ceasefire deal conclude. The talks focused on the end of hostilities in the Black Sea and the resumption of the grains initiative. And the South Korean Constitutional Court dismissed the impeachment proceedings against Prime Minister Han Duck-soo, reinstating him as acting president. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the TeleSUR studios in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin with the news. Stay with us. In Venezuela, as part of the Return to the Homeland plan, a plane landed that made a stopover in Honduras with 199 Venezuelan migrants that were deported from the United States. The repatriated migrants arrived in the country an hour after midnight and were received in the airport by Minister of Interior, Peace and Justice, Diosdado Cabello. The government of Venezuela has increased its efforts to ensure the return of Venezuelan migrants who were victims of the Trump administration's immigration policies, especially those who were illegally sent to El Salvador. It is recalled that the Return to the Homeland was established by President Nicolas Maduro in 2018 as a humanitarian initiative to facilitate the return of Venezuelan migrants who had left the country deceived by the so-called American dream. And the United States government announced that it will impose a 25% tariff on trades from countries that buy oil or gas from Venezuela. The measure imposed by U.S. President Donald Trump will take effect on April 2nd of this year, which is referred to as Liberation Day in America. In the publication made on social media, Trump assured that the new coercive action responds to the alleged hostilities of the South American country against Washington regarding its freedoms. The White House's demand is added to the conglomerate of criminal sanctions applied to the Venezuelan people, including the most recent elimination of the license granted to U.S. company Chevron to operate in Venezuela. The Ecuadorian presidential debate was held Sunday, March 23rd. In the event, the candidate for the Citizens' Revolution and the president nominee Daniel Noboa presented their proposals for the runoff election next April 13th. Gabriela Mena provides for the details.
In Ecuador,
the series where polymedia outlets were broadcasting looked like this. There, they were to disseminate the presidential debate for the runoff elections. Hundreds of supporters of the nominee for the Citizens' Revolution, Luisa González, supported her by raising flags, wearing t-shirts with slogans, and blowing bugles. At all times, they shouted the candidate's name.
¡Luisa Presidenta! ¡Luisa Presidenta!
A las 20 horas del domingo 23 de marzo inició el debate presidencial.
The presidential debate started at 8 p.m. on Sunday, March 23rd. Candidates have tackled 5 main concerning issues, including education, health, and security. The first to speak was candidate Luisa González, who reiterated President nominee Daniel Noboa all the time that he should stop lying to the country during his speeches.
Shall you continue lying to the Ecuadorian people? Do we Ecuadorians think that you still lack time for making things happen? When pigs fly.
González destacó las falencias del presidente candidato Daniel Noboa.
González highlighted the shortcomings of the president candidate Daniel Noboa. First, she mentioned that children, teenagers, and youngsters lack quotas to enter the public education system. Then, she questioned that if he had not fulfilled his campaign proposals in 15 months in office, who guaranteed that now he would comply with them? She further referred to the illegalities committed by Noboa, as he consented officers to break into the Mexican embassy to arrest the former Vice President Jorge Glass. Therefore, Ecuador had lost the support of the international community, she argued, granting to recover global trust in case she won elections.
¿Y saben cuál es la inversión extranjera en el Ecuador?
What's the current trend of foreign investment in Ecuador? It is the worst in the past 10 years. Nobody wants to come to a country where the president violates international treaties, laws, and the Constitution itself, and this directly impacts employment so that you have caused economic domestic crises.
La candidata Luisa González
Candidate Luisa González stated that she will lower the VAT, attract energy investments, and that public banking will be for development, with low interest rate credits. In addition, she affirmed at all times that the Citizens Revolution Party won't make changes in dollarization. She said so in response to Noboa's proposal of changing the transactional currency, despite the fact that it is the Citizens Revolution who seeks to make the dollar official from the National Assembly.
Por su parte, el presidente de Ecuador y candidato a la reelección,
Ecuadorian President candidate Daniel Noboa reaffirmed to reinstate foreign military bases in the country to control drug trafficking.
In addition, we'll always maintain our respect for our armed forces, the national police and all state officials who today are working hard for this new Ecuador.
González cuestionó a Noboa sobre si
González questioned Noboa on whether he will collect the millionaire debt of $94 million in taxes from his family, and he answered no. However, this is not a new scenario because Noboa has awarded several state businesses to his family on his term.
Subsidios a Petro Noboa.
Subsidies to Petro Noboa, school breakfast to your aunt, ethanol to your aunt, power outages and job losses, economic impact on the Esmeralda's population and the environment, 200,000 layoffs, giving the Sasha oil field as a gift, which was prevented by citizens' actions, repelling public investments. You have brought about all these problems in just a single year.
el debate presidencial
The presidential debate had lasted around 2 hours, and prior to the closing, the president candidate was questioned about not entrusting the presidency to the vice president Veronica Abad during his electoral campaign as abided by law, an issue that Noboa evaded. According to the law, Noboa could not participate in the presidential debate, being both a president and a candidate. However, he did it.
Gabriela Mena, TeleSUR Ecuador.
We now have our first break coming up. Remember, you can join us on TikTok at TeleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We're going to be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. On March 24th, under the slogan Never Again, massive mobilizations are taking place throughout Argentina to commemorate the Day of Remembrance for Truth and Justice, 49 years after the 1976 civil military coup. Human rights organizations take to the streets of different parts of the country in which they raise their voices for remembrance, truth, and justice for the 30,000 people who disappeared during the civil military dictatorship led by Jorge Rafael Videla. As every year, citizens express their rejection to the systematic baby stealing plan carried out by the military and the establishment of the neoliberal model, which led to the closing of some 20,000 factories during the day. Human rights movement also denounced the denialist, repressive, and adjustment policies implemented by the government of Javier Milei. Let's now go with our correspondent in Argentina, Belén de los Santos, to have first-hand information coming from the streets of Buenos Aires. Welcome, Belén. What can you tell us?
Hello, studios. Once again, we continue here downtown Buenos Aires. We're just 1 block away from Plaza de Mayo, the epicenter of this great mobilization. March 24th, we've said the importance, the relevance of this day to Argentinians and also in the continent in which we commemorate but also denounce the coup d'etat that took place in 1976, all its crimes. But also something very important to keep in mind is that besides being just a political act of memory for Argentinians, this day of truth, memory, and justice is also a political struggle that has to do with the present and the present context. And Argentina is living a very particular scene with Milei's government, with Milei's repressive policies that are targeting the working class, very much like they did so in the civil military dictatorship that started that 1976. So we are talking to some of the people that came to participate to this march, this very significant march that is about to be maybe one of the most significant in terms of participation. And Amitai Dweck is a worker, student, and has come here to participate one more year. I wanted to ask you, why is it important to come here, and what is the significance of this day in this repressive context that Argentina is living?
It is very important to be here always, because this is the way we keep the memory alive of these events, these horrible events that happened in this country. But this year is especially important for two reasons. One is the political context in the whole world of fascism, and especially in this country where the crimes of the dictatorship that happened here are being negated in this whole continent, actually. This is a special moment for us. This is the reason why the two marches of this country are, for the first time in 20 years, uniting for one political response. It is important that we show that we are united, even if we come from different political fronts. It is very important that we show the government we are united, we remember, and we will keep remembering these events, and they can't negate what happened here.
And so we were talking before about the significance of unity in this march. Both acts are coming together. It's taking place just one block from where we are right now. The main act of this March 24th, in which Argentinians come together to say that this level of state terrorism and state violence against any political opposition will happen never again in Argentina. We go back to you in studios, and we will continue reporting as this day progresses.
Thank you, Belen. Let's now continue with our news. In Haiti, social organizations denounce leaders' inaction in the face of the nation's multidimensional crisis. Organizations pointed out that society is adrift and qualified as alarming the worsening situation of the Caribbean country, entailing serious consequences for the population. These organizations also call on all sectors of the state to assume their responsibilities to give the nation a credible alternative and to no longer depend on external support. In this sense, they warn about the need to implement a new leadership capable of facing the situation of the country. And former Brazilian President Dilma Rousseff was re-elected as head of the new development bank known as the BRICS Bank, a position that she holds since April 2023. During the China Development Forum 2025, she announced her re-election to head the new development bank, founded in 2015 by the member nations of BRICS Group, initially comprising Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. For its part, the Brazilian government and the Brazilian Workers' Party congratulated Rousseff for heading another term at the head of the BRICS Bank. Rousseff's re-election, now for a 5-year term, was proposed by the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, after negotiations with the Brazilian leader and unanimously approved by the bank's board of directors. In Saudi Arabia, negotiations for a possible agreement on the Ukrainian conflict between the United States and Russia concluded. During the meeting, which lasted more than 10 hours, both delegations agreed on the possible signing of a final declaration on the agenda discussed. In this regard, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov announced that no document is expected to be signed after the consultations held in Riyadh. On the day, Moscow mentioned that a possible future agreement between the parties on Ukraine could be extended. A Russian official, however, indicated in the early hours that the end of hostilities in the Black Sea and the resumption of the grain agreement was the focus of the talks. Meanwhile, the Russian government reaffirmed its position of upholding the agreement not to attack Ukrainian energy infrastructure. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov stated that the current order of Russian President Vladimir Putin not to attack Ukrainian energy infrastructure remains in force, despite Kiev's attacks and violations of the agreement. In this regard, the Russian government denounced that the regime of Volodymyr Zelensky is carrying out attacks on infrastructure such as oil pumping stations in the region and other energy infrastructure. They also denounced that Kiev's actions maintain the tension in the region and prevent the achievement of a diplomatic understanding that would put an end to the conflict. We now have our second short break coming up. Before we invite you to visit our Facebook page at TeleSUR English, there you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage, and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Financial break. We're going to be right back. Welcome back. The Palestinian Health Ministry registered over 61 deaths in the last 24 hours as a result of the Israeli forces' endless shellings on the Gaza Strip. The health entity indicated that the resumption of the Zionist offensive had pushed the death toll up to over 46,000 and 110,000 others wounded in the enclave in 15 months. The Israeli regime had mounted raids and bombings on several areas of the south and north of Gaza at the crack of Monday, March 24th, including the Nasser Hospital located in southern Khan Yunis. There, the medical staff denounced the Zionist aggression and demanded humanitarian intervention from the international community.
The men's surgery department was targeted by the Israeli occupation and destroyed entirely with guided missiles, as if the Israeli occupation wanted to put this system out of service and destroy this system because it is considered the last breath of the Palestinian people.
And in South Korea, the Constitutional Court dismissed the impeachment proceedings against Prime Minister Han Duck-soo, reinstating him as acting president after President Yoon Suk-yeol was suspended for declaring martial law. The decision was reached with 5 votes in favor and 1 against by the members of the court, while 2 judges ruled that the motion against Han was invalid since 2/3 of the legislators did not approve it. The ruling came 3 months after the Korean parliament indicted the prime minister for his alleged role in President Yoon Suk-yeol's declaration of martial law on December 3, 2024, among other charges. After his reinstatement, Han stated that he would spare no effort to address the urgent matters following his return and express his positive assessment of the process and the Constitutional Court's decision. And also in South Korea, a series of forest fires caused the death of at least 4 firefighters and the evacuation of 600 people. The fire broke out last Friday in Sangcheon County, and in addition to the fatalities, left 6 people injured, burned 16 houses, 2 factories, 9 warehouses, and 2 temples. Over the weekend, the flames spread to neighboring Hadong County due to the strong dry winds in the area. In this regard, the authorities deployed 36 helicopters to assist from the air in the work of containing the flames, as well as to provide the necessary medical assistance. Meanwhile, in Japan, forest fires have also affected 2 areas in the western part of the country, damaging several houses and forcing thousands of residents to evacuate. In the city of Iwahari, in the Ehime prefecture alone, large trees were ablaze on a hillside while a helicopter was seen dropping water on the fire. Meanwhile, in the western city of Okayama, the fire broke out on Sunday afternoon and has since damaged 5 houses. Authorities advised the evacuation of several hundred residents of the affected district. Like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. Also join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thanks for watching.